Can see I have a beautiful guest here today. I'm pretty excited because we're going to be talking a lot about home ownership in Canada. If you're new on this channel, my name is Bisola Queen. I create content on finance and travel because I love to travel. My mission is to empower my followers to make the most out of their finances so that they can live their best lives. And as you can see, I brought a beautiful guest here, Leila, who is going to be telling us everything about buying a property in Canada, especially for immigrants, buying your first home. What is it like? What do you need to do? What do you need to prepare for? So let me introduce you properly. Leila specializes in smart mortgages strategies to help first-time home buyers and investors save thousands of dollars on their mortgage. Our passion lies in helping clients not only secure the best mortgage option out there, but to also build long-term wealth through strategic financial planning. So welcome on board. Yeah, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, Bisola. Wow, what a great introduction. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us
Probably
today.
afternoon for some people,
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on wherever you're
wherever you're
coming
joining.
across this video. So it's so nice to be here. It's still morning where I am, so Saturday morning. I'm glad to be here. So thank you, Bisola, for having me here today.
Welcome on board. So I wanted us to chop it up. You and I were having a private conversation about buying a property in Canada, and you were telling me so much where I learned from you. And I didn't want all that knowledge to just be with me. I wanted to also share with my audience and my community. And the first thing, before we start getting into all the conversation and the tea, why do you think like home ownership in Canada is very important? Why do you think people should even consider it in the first place? For me, I know why. For me, because I want money. How about for you?
Homeownership is very important here in Canada. Um, it's a great wealth building tool. It's a great way for you to access equity. So let me just break it down. I don't want to get into the legal terminologies this early morning. It's too early. But say you buy a property today, you bought it at 300,000, and over time it has now appreciated to 500,000, and you want to start a business, for example, you want to do some renovations. Now you have about 200,000 equity. So 500,000, which is the new value today, minus 300,000, which is the mortgage balance on that property. So you have 200,000 equity on that property. You can tap into that equity and go and do whatever you want to do with that fund. So it could be you want to send your child to school, you want to pay for their tuition, or you want to start a business, or you want to do renovations. So no other um, investment can give you that kind of leverage, right? So I always advise people, try and get into the market. It doesn't, if you're living in core GTA, for example, and you can't afford core GTA, you can move to the outskirts, right? Just find a good property, start there. It could be a starter home, and then you can grow from there.
Do you think there's like a right time? Because I know you said you can buy outside of the GTA, start at home and all that. Do you think there is like a right time for you to start to buy a property as maybe a newcomer in Canada?
That's a very good question. So a lot of times I advise my client, don't try to time the market. The best time to buy a property was yesterday, but not everybody can be ready, right? So whenever you're ready, you have your down payment, you have less liability, you have a good credit score, you've worked with your mortgage agent and other professionals on your team, the numbers and the ratios match and are aligned. I'll tell you, go into the market, go buy. Don't start timing to say, oh, interest rate is so high. I'm going to wait for interest rate to come down and I'm going to buy then. You might just be waiting forever, because
Ever.
now that interest rate is down, you can actually tap into the market and really get some great deals, which might not even be available when the interest rate um, comes down. So don't try to time the market. As soon as you're ready, you have everything
Right.
I've said before, just try and get into the market.
I really like that you also touched on some basic foundational things that people should get ready for before even thinking of buying a property. One, making sure you have a good credit score, you have your down payment, you shop around for different mortgages, and like you also make sure that you have enough savings so that you're not maxing out all of your down payments. So I did like that you mentioned that because some people just feel like, hey, I just got into Canada now, and because they said the right time to buy a property is yesterday, tomorrow I'm going to go to the bank to go and start seeing if I can buy a property. Some people
Mhm.
don't give themselves time. They don't even know what they need to make sure they have ready
Yes.
before even thinking of buying a property. Are there anything else you feel like people need to bear in mind or prepare for before considering even looking into the market?
So affordability. So what I do for a lot of my clients, I do like a budget, you know. So if, for example, you're renting and say your rent, like here in Toronto, like you know how rents can be so expensive,
Okay, crazy.
2,200, 25, depending on what you're looking, like what you want. I want you to factor in those costs, right? So those costs are going to be very different from when you purchase a home because when you're purchasing a home, other costs is not just the mortgage payment you're going to be looking at. If you decide to buy, for example, a townhouse, right, you'll be responsible for clearing the snow, you'll be responsible for clearing the lawn, there's property tax. Now you're responsible for all the utilities, heating, electricity. Maybe where you were renting before, you were paying a percentage towards the utilities or you were responsible for 100%, but now you have your home, you're not responsible for everything. So there's property tax, there's mortgage payment, there's insurance, home insurance that you have to factor in. All those things add up. So you need to be sure that it's not just the funds for the down payment. Oh, they said as long as I can get 7%, 8%, I want to buy a 500,000 home. Oh, yes, I have 60,000. Another thing I see people do, they would have the down payment, they won't factor in the closing cost. Closing cost is still different from the down payment. Okay, so you need to do your budget to be sure that you can afford this home. We don't want people purchasing a home and 1 year later, the banks you're defaulting, the banks are knocking on your door. Now you can't afford payment because now so much bills. Oh my God, this is overwhelming. I
You're
didn't miss
scrambling.
anything. You're scrambling up and down. I should have just been a tenant when I was renting. I wasn't, paying as much. So affordability, know your budget, know your closing costs, know what you're eligible for, like what you can afford to buy. Now, that brings me to the next topic. Pre-qualification tool is different from pre-approval. Don't
Hmm.
say, oh, Lilia said, oh, I need to know how much I can afford. So you're just going to go online, just Google, you see a pre-qualification tool, you just start punching in numbers. Oh, boom. They said I am eligible for 600,000. Now I'm going to contact a realtor to go start showing me houses for 600,000. It doesn't work that way. That is just a pre-qualification quick way. When you
Just
come
like a
to
general assessment.
Exactly. When you come to the pre-approval, that's when they're asking you more details, a more detailed, thorough analysis of your profile. Where do you work? What kind of job do you do? Is it a full-time job? Is it a part-time job? Are you self-employed? Depending on the nature of your job and how you're getting your income, are you salary? Are you salary plus commission? Did most of your income come from benefits? All those things will factor in how lenders will actually look at your application. You know, yes, you might have a 600 or a 650 credit score today, but they need to look at history.
Projection.
What kind of client are you? Are you
Okay.
someone that has been delinquent for, all this while missing payment? They want to see how credible you are, right? In terms of credit score. So these are some of the things that they look at. Even down payment, for example. Some people will say, oh, I have money coming in. Where's the money coming from? What is the source of the down payment? Did you
Mhm.
get a big inheritance? Fine, congratulations. But the lender that's going to lend you that money needs to see the paper trail. You don't just say, oh, I got inheritance or I sold a property back home. Now I want to move the money into
Yeah.
Canada. but it's still sitting down there and you want to get pre-approved today, or you start talking to your realtor to that money has to come into Canada, sit into your bank account for a certain period of time, right? And the lender will want to know how did you get that money?
About.
They will need to see paper trail, bank transfer to bank transfer, you know. And I know a lot of people you use this third party because of better rates. That is fine, but we need to show paper trail,
To
okay?
explain
To
see, that's
explain.
something that I personally didn't even know. And sessions like this are always very, very helpful for, the community and people to learn more about buying a property. If you are a viewer out there, you want to buy a property, don't just jump head first and decide to buy the first thing you see, or don't just jump into the market and buy it right away. You need to do some research, take some time to understand so many things because there are so many intricacies that we all don't know. Even the brokers, the real estate agents, a lot of them are more knowledgeable than one another. So if you take off just information from one person and you run with it, you might be leaving so much money on the table. You might be losing, you might be making so much mistake that might take you a lifetime to correct. So this is
Exactly.
why I love sessions like this where we get to learn a lot, not just about like helping you avoid mistakes, but also helping you prepare ahead of time in to buy your property. I do want to ask you some general questions here, and I know that it's usually not a one size fit all for whoever the buyer is or whoever is considering home ownership, but I just want like a general idea. You guys don't take this and run with it, it's just an idea. First question is, what do you say the minimum credit score would be for someone to say they want to start considering? I know it would vary, but like what would be the range that you say, okay, yes, maybe you have a decent credit score and you can consider buying a property?
I would say, first of all, as you said, it varies and it depends on the lender, right? So some would go as much as 680, 700, while there's some lenders out there that will consider 650, okay?
Okay.
So,
So anything from 650 and above,
yes, anything from 650 and above. Again, the higher your credit score is, the
the better your
more
interest rates.
that's one. And two, the better your profile is, that a lot of lenders will want to jump on board to fund your mortgage deal, right?
Okay.
So
And the next question I had is about like minimum down payment. I know that it would also vary based on your profile as well, but what would you say the minimum starting point should be? Because some people might think that, oh, if I have just $10,000 or $20,000 or maybe 10% or 5% or 1%, I can buy this mega $1,000 property. So what's the breakdown of how much you need to have for down payment?
okay, so again, it depends on the purchase price of the property. So say you want to buy a 500,000 home, for example. For that, we would say the minimum is 5%, right? So that's the amount that you should be looking at. Again, it depends, right? So that's down payment that we're talking about is just down payment. It doesn't factor in closing costs. So don't quote me and say, oh, Lilia said
That's
blah blah
5%.
blah. Now we might look at your profile and say, okay, in addition to 5%, it could range to 7%, but that's just a minimal small increase from the 5%, right? Again, the higher amounts that you can put towards your down payment, uh, the better, right? But if you can only do 5%, just do the 5%. Now, if you're doing up to 20%, if you're doing less than 20%, then you have to factor CMHC fees, right? So that's
What's CMHA fees? We need to explain what that is.
yeah, yeah, sure. So that's default mortgage default insurance. So every lender, right? If I'm going to lend you 500,000, I want to be sure that okay, just in case anything goes south, right? I need to get my money back, right?
Okay.
So if you're putting down less than 20%, to me is a little bit of risk, but I'm going to factor in mortgage default insurance, which you have to pay as part of the whole mortgage application. So it's not an after thing. So if, for example, I do 5% of 500,000, that's about 25,000. They'll factor in CMHC fees, which is a percentage, and that's so whatever the total comes to is what you pay as part of the is a one-time fee. So it's not factored in after buying the house, you'll be paying as part of your mortgage payment. No. But if you're doing 20%, then you don't pay the mortgage fees because now the lender knows you are putting more money towards your down payment. So they don't factor that in.
That's really interesting. I like that you explained that in detail because I wouldn't have thought some of those things happen. My next question is like, what's the difference? I know this might be like clear to a lot of people, but just for those few people out there that might not know, what's the difference between a real estate agent or a real estate agent? Of course, they call themselves agents,
Yeah.
and a mortgage broker. Are they two different people? Are they the same people? What do they do?
They're two different set of people. Okay. So before you even contact someone, right, that you want to start viewing properties, you need to speak to a professional. It could be a mortgage agent, it could be a mortgage broker, and they are the ones that will do a thorough assessment on your profile and give you that number that number that you're approved for, that you're going to go and meet the realtor who is another professional and say, hey, I spoke to my mortgage agent broker, and they told me that I'm qualified for a 500,000 homes. That realtor is going to, or real estate agent is going to take that information and ask you, okay, what kind of properties are you looking for? Do you want a condo apartment? Do you want a townhouse? Like, which area are we looking at? They will then screen those properties in that area and then start taking you out for showings to go view that property until you find the property that you like. It's necessary for you to talk to a mortgage person. Otherwise, it's a waste of time on the realtor's part. There is no point showing you 600,000 or $1 million homes when you're only pre-approved for 500. Okay.
Mm.
So it's good that you talk to a mortgage professional first before the realtor slash real estate agent. They interchange the names. They call themselves realtor, or they call themselves
Oh
real.
yeah, I wanted to remember the realtor when I was trying to say, yeah,
Yeah.
it was realtor name I wanted to remember. I like this. So this is very, very interesting to me because I find that most people, whenever they want to buy a property, the first person they contact is the realtor,
Yes.
not
Yes.
the broker.
No.
So it's like you are doing things the wrong way, and that's how you end up with making wrong decisions.
Yeah.
And that's how I find that some people now end up having to go to looking for a second lender alongside the primary mortgage because now you
Exactly.
started the wrong way,
Yeah.
you've purchased the property more than you can actually afford. Then
Afford.
now you have extra money that you have to pay and you have to go look for somebody else that can fund it, which will now cost you a lot more money, a lot more stress, and a lot more time.
So it's interesting you brought out that point. Do you know another thing they do? They contact the realtor, they find a property, they love the property, they negotiate with the seller, they sign the purchase agreement, and then at the
Start looking
time
for
the
it.
realtor is preparing the purchase agreement, maybe they ask, oh, do you have finance? They say no. So, okay, we're going to put a clause in there, conditional financing, which means, this agreement is null and void if we don't get financing for this X number of days. So they might put a 5 days
Oh,
conditional financing clause so that you can exit properly. And then they start looking for the mortgage
that
person.
is so last
They
minute.
don't
Those
start looking
people,
for the mortgage agent and start putting pressure on the mortgage agent. Oh my
oh
God,
my God.
this house is blah, blah, blah. And then the mortgage agent is like, okay, let me see your profile. Let me see your documents and everything. Oh, you guys shouldn't have even signed an agreement for this 500. You can only afford 350,000. And they start pressurizing, oh, please make it work. And because they are now attached to that house, because sometimes, you go out, it's like shopping, right? You go out, you buy something, and then you have buyer's remorse, right? But the difference between real estate and actually going into a store to buy like a top or anything, you get home and you have buyer's remorse, you can go back and return it.
Return it, yeah.
But with a house, you can purchase your home and tomorrow you'll be like, um, I don't think I should have bought it. Let me go back and return it and try and so I can get back my money, right? It doesn't work
That
that
way.
way. Why did I bring up that point? In the process of pressurizing the mortgage agent, then they say, just get me anything for
Anything.
this deal to pull through. And that's a
That's the
position you don't want
biggest
to put
mistake.
yourself. And so the mortgage person, in trying to close this deal for you, you then end up with private lender, which you shouldn't have even found yourself in the first place, because the private lender will charge you way more than an A lender or a B lender.
Hmm. This is really interesting and I like that we're having this conversation. And I know I've said that so many times, but I really like it because I personally am learning as well. And I know that other people that are watching would be learning. You know, every time I scroll on TikTok, I see people scrolling, like talking about this, and they say, oh my gosh, buying this property was the worst decision I've made in my whole entire life. My life
Yes,
is ruined because of this. I literally have a video on my page that ran numbers over 100,000 views where I was surprised to see everybody on my timeline on TikTok complaining and regretting their home purchase. So I had to make a video about it. Like, are you guys not doing your research before
yes.
buying this property? Don't you
Mhm.
take the first steps before deciding that you want to lock this in? This is a long life commitment that you're
Exactly.
making. Most mortgages are more than 25 years commitment. So before you lock yourself in, it's like marriage. You need to be sure that you're doing
You
this and
need
you're
to be
ready to get
sure.
into it. Have you considered the pros and the cons? Have you
Right.
weighed your options? But I also do think that a lot of real estate agents and realtors, they do have some responsibility to help people avoid these situations. I know, yes, a lot of times realtors just want to make their money, but at the same time, if someone is coming to you, they don't have a pre-approval, they have not checked their financial situation, you ask them how much property are you looking at? Have you checked this with a professional? You should send them back.
Yeah,
If they're
because it's
just
a
telling
total
you,
waste
hey,
of your
I'm
time.
thinking somewhere between 500 to $1 million, and you're like, oh, have you spoken to a professional about this? No. Have you checked your qualification? No. Have you done this? No. They say, oh, I used just an online tool or something. You should send them back
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want to waste your time, commit to
Yes.
something that would now bring you headache and bring them headache, and now you guys get into an issue, you know?
Yeah.
This is one of the things that we need to talk more about as a community. Anyway, let's talk more about some of the mistakes that, immigrants in Canada. I'm an immigrant myself, and I know you are too.
I am.
So let's talk about some of the mistakes that we can help other immigrants avoid when they are buying their property. I know we've touched on a few of them, but I want us to go even deeper when it comes to this mistake. So what would you say are the difference between using like a broker and the bank?
Mm-hmm.
Is the broker working with the bank, or are they the same people? So how do people navigate that situation? Because you had just mentioned that they have to speak to a professional who is a mortgage broker or a mortgage agent. Do I walk into my bank and ask them that, or how would that work?
So the banks don't have mortgage agents, right? They have mortgage advisors. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say you walk into TD Bank, right? And you asking them, you know what, I want a credit card. I just want a simple credit card so I can make purchases. The TD Bank is going to be telling you about their product, right? Will they be telling you product about CIBC or Scotia?
Mm-hmm.
No, they won't. They're just bent. They'll just tell you everything. Oh, at TD, we
What
have
they
this
have,
credit
yeah.
card, we have this, we have that. If you don't like what they don't have, then you would exit from TD Bank and then you go to another bank, right? So that's the difference between working with a mortgage advisor at the bank versus working with a mortgage broker. Now, when you walk into your bank and say, oh, you need a mortgage, you'll be talking specifically to a mortgage advisor who would only tell you things about their bank. When you're working with a mortgage agent broker, they have access to a lot of lenders, more lenders than the bank, than a traditional bank. Okay. They're not loyal to any financial institution. They're just looking for the best products for their clients, right? So you come in, you tell me your profile, I do a detailed assessment on you, and then I ask you about your short-term and long-term goals. There's a lot of things people don't factor in. I can be buying this property now, but then 6 months or 1 year down the line, I'm thinking of getting married, I'm thinking of having kids, I'm thinking of a business. So we need to understand those short-term, long-term goals so that we can structure it into the mortgage so that in case you have to tap into funds 6 months, 1 month, 2 years down the line, we are not doing another pre-qualification to get you another loan, right? We've
Mm.
already factored it and structured your mortgage differently, right? So those are all the things a mortgage broker will be looking at. So We are not loyal to any financial institutions to say, oh, it must be TD Bank. We look at your profile, depending on your profile. We already know the lenders that we need to assess that will give us a positive decision on your application, right? You don't need to pay us any dime. We don't you don't it's not that, oh, if I walk into the bank, the mortgage advisor, I don't need to pay. You don't pay us anything, right? You get this exceptional service from us at zero cost.
This is really good.
Yeah.
So, in layman understanding, if you go to the mortgage advisor in the bank, they are selling you their bank product.
Yeah.
However, a mortgage agent is just shopping around. It's like your personal shopper that is going into the market to help you get the best rate based on your profile. Is that it?
Yes, that is it. I'll put a but. And that brings me to what a lot of people do. It is not enough to just say, I want the best rate. The best rate might not be the best mortgage option for you. And let me explain before you guys crucify me. So, as I said, we look at your short term, we look at your long term goal, right? Would you need some funds? Because when they let's say you get a mortgage today, there's something they call a commitment letter from the lender. As the lender has agreed, to be the lender on this file, to loan you the money, and then you sign, and then a lot of people don't read those long pages, right? Just like any other contract. In the fine print, people don't understand what kind of mortgage am I getting? Is it a
Mm,
closed mortgage? Is it an open mortgage? If 2 years from now rates go down, can I exit or I'll pay a penalty? So those are all the fine prints that people don't look at. In a closed mortgage, you won't be able to get out until the term ends. You know, you won't even if for example, even if money falls on your lap and you say, you know what, I want to be
yeah.
mortgage free. I want to pay up no, you can't even do that, you know, because there's repayment privilege factored in when you signed the original commitment, like it was detailed in there, right? So that's my train of what was the question? Like, what was I
Yeah,
trying?
no, no, you were just trying to add to the point of the mortgage interest is not the like
Yes, the
getting the
mortgage.
best rate is not always the best for you.
Yes, it's not always the best for you. So you have to look at the overall package, like the
That is
overall
really
mortgage
hmm
terms,
hmm
and also factoring what are your short-term and long-term goals? What do I want to
your
do?
own
That,
personal
yeah,
life.
your own personal life goal. I'm a salaried earner, for example. I only do 9 to 5, for example. I earn 60,000. I've been with this company. I don't think I'm gonna move from this company because it gives me stability. I don't have any other extra income. For example, I'm single. I'm not married yet, but 1 year or 1.5, like I'm considering a business and I would definitely need a loan, you
Mhm.
know. So if someone comes to me with that kind of information, I will structure the mortgage differently than just do a normal mortgage, so that if this person has to tap or access funds 1 year from now, they can readily access it rather than going again shopping around, trying to
Come all
see who,
around, figure out
because
what.
now when they pull your credit score, what they're going to see is a mortgage loan is sitting on your credit report, right? And
Mhm.
then whoever wants to borrow you the money will say, oh, she has a big mortgage of 500,000 and she also has a car loan, she has student loan, they'll be considering all these liabilities 1.5 year from now, and she see earn 60,000. I'm not really confident I want to really loan
You
her
like this loan.
this money.
That's really interesting to know. So, a lot of us, like you said, they don't read the fine print. And to be honest, I don't blame the people because but it's not in our nature to read. Even most of us, when we buy a product, we don't read the user manual.
No, you
Even when we buy drugs, we don't read the conditions because when you buy any drug, Tylenol, whatever it is, at the back of it, they will tell you the conditions. When you use this drug, these are the side effects, these are this and that.
Mhm.
But a lot of times people don't read it. And
Mhm.
yes, the responsibility is upon us to read it. But also, if you go to a physician, it's also their responsibility to tell you if you use this drug, do you use this any other drug? okay, this would be a side effect affecting that drug. So maybe you need to stop that one before you start taking this one. Or they'll tell you the side effects that, okay, when you use this drug, you might feel a little dizzy or something like that. And I feel like the mortgage agent is also in the position where, since they are the intermediary between you and the bank that you're getting the loan from, they should also have some responsibility in helping you understand the fine print that most of us might not read. Do you feel like this is something that a mortgage broker is expected to do? How do you know that your mortgage broker is even the right person to ensure that they're giving you all of this knowledge and you're not just getting in there making the wrong decisions all along?
Yeah, you're correct. The mortgage agent is the best person to explain this to them because after all, this is someone that is coming to purchase a home. They're not used to all those mortgage terms, terminology. And that's why you are the professional, right? So what I do for my client, I don't just send them the commitment letter. I actually book a session with them, we review, and they have opportunity to ask questions. And then they're given an opportunity to say, okay, now that we've had this session, you take the document, read it. If you have any other question, you can contact me and I'll re-explain anything and provide clarity on what you don't understand. So yes, I agree with you. The mortgage person should be taking out time to explain all these terminologies on, that is part of the commitment letter before the client actually signs, because this is a lifelong decision. Somebody's entrusting, I don't want to say life, but
It's
this
still
is
their
really
life
a big
in a way
decision
because
for
their
them.
mortgage,
Yes. Yes.
25 years or 30 years of commitment, that's a lot.
Yes, yes, yes. So this is a big decision of financial decision for them, and that's why they contacted you in the first place. To the second question that you asked, how will they know that, oh, my mortgage agent is going to explain all those things? Because the commitment letter only comes at the end. You won't know from the beginning, right? You can, when you're talking to your mortgage agent, you can just ask them, so what's your process like at the very beginning, right? So if you start working on my file, like what's your process like? They will explain to you, oh, first of all, we do an assessment, a pre-approval, and then I advise you on terms and conditions that or things you have to start working on if you don't meet. If you're not ready right now, maybe you'll be ready in 6 months or what, to explain everything to you. Then you ask them, okay, so there's certain questions you should have ready to ask your mortgage agent before you enlist that person to represent you, right? It's just like going to court, right? You do your investigation. Okay, I'm in big trouble. I need a lawyer, a good lawyer that can help me fight this case, right? So
Mhm.
who am I? You're not just going to just randomly pick anybody because the person is the cheapest, right? You're going to pick someone that has good recommendation. If even if you don't know the person, it comes like maybe people referred that lawyer to you. You will do your own research and
Depends on
investigation.
that person. Because if you work for somebody else, doesn't mean it will work for you too.
Exactly, your
They might have
profile
a
is
different
different.
relationship, or even apart from their relationship, things might just play out differently for you. So you want to make sure that they're even right for you as well.
That's true.
That's really interesting. I like that you also mentioned that these simple things that you need to check out for, but I want you to give us like more specific details on some of those questions that you need to ask the mortgage broker or whoever you're hiring to make sure that they are the right one for you. How are you sure that this is like the right person to help you secure your first property? Because again, buying a property, like we said, it's not a joke, it's a serious thing. And it's also a dream for most people. A lot of immigrants, that's their Canadian dream, their American dream. Like, oh, I bought my property. I came from a nobody. I moved to this country, secured my bag, and now I own the first brick in this country. So, we want to make sure that people are making the right decision so that that dream doesn't become a nightmare, right? So, what are those questions that um the viewers out there need to ask the potential mortgage broker or whoever they are working with? And if you can also add maybe one or two questions for the real estate agent. I know that's not your zone, but like if you have any tips that people could also ask, like, okay, you are hiring a mortgage broker, what do you need to ask them? You're hiring a real estate agent, what do you need to also ask them?
Yeah. Okay, sure. So first of all, you want to know, even in your interaction with the person before you even start diving into the questions you prepared, You want to know how is this person relating to me? Does this person look like someone that is patient and understanding and can explain to me? Or does this person look like if I ask the person the same question 5 times and then they get angry and become arrogant towards me? You want to know how long has this person been in the field, right? Have they done similar cases before? Like there's some new immigrants that come into the country, they're still trying to get their job, right? Uh, but they have a lot of properties back home. So maybe they are selling properties and moving funds in here, right? Or maybe they are IT contractor. You know, a lot of times when you walk into your bank, for those contractors and kind of roles that they're paid on commission or based on contract, a lot of lenders at the bank don't jump on such
Hmm.
applications. So you want to know, for example, if I'm a contractor, can you represent me? Have you done similar cases before, right? And what was the outcome, right? And how, like, every mortgage agent does not work individually. You belong to a brokerage. So what brokerage do you belong to? So go do a research on that brokerage. You don't want to be talking to a mortgage person that just joined a brokerage that just opened yesterday. You want a brokerage that has been in existence for a while, that they've been operating and doing business, right? You don't just want a new brokerage, regardless of the number of mortgage agents they have or not,
Yeah.
right? Um, so you want to know, have they handled a similar case before, the kind of brokerage, how long has that mortgage broker been in business? Um, the other one I want to really add is have they done a deal like for someone like from your country? Let me give you an example. A lot of times, especially as new immigrants, like I said, maybe you're moving funds, maybe you got inheritance. So the money you want to use for your down payment is not like money that you've saved here from your job. Some of them don't know, especially the kind of transactions, how things work back home,
Back
right?
home, yeah. Maybe you are
Exactly.
making transfer with Lemfi now. They want you
Exactly.
what
Then their what is Lemfi, and then they start thinking, oh, is this person doing money laundry or you know. Also, there is a list, right, of sanctioned countries where lenders will not even look at if you're from that country. And so sometimes some mortgage agents tend to just generalize. Oh, Africa is on that list. West Africa is not on that list.
yeah,
Nigeria is not on that list.
yep.
So don't just generalize and say, oh, this person is moving money from, oh, no lender would jump on their application. So they won't even look at it, or they won't even, and then they tell you that response and you'll be like, oh, no lender would lend to me because I'm from Nigeria. That's not true. Nigeria is not on that list, you know?
This is really interesting. This is
Yeah,
good.
so you need to you need to be sure that whoever that mortgage is conversant, has done deals from your country, you know. So yeah. Then on the realtor side, you want to know, does that person know the neighborhood? For
Yeah.
example, a lot of people will say, oh, prices in Ontario is very expensive. I have this money, and I don't just want it sitting in my savings account. I want to get into the market. I want to invest. Oh, I heard that in Calgary or in Alberta or in Saskatchewan it's cheaper. So I want to go purchase there, right? So you want to get now, because you are based in Ontario, so you just call somebody and say, oh, do you know any realtor in Calgary? And they give you, you want to be sure, does that person know that neighborhood? Does that person can that person understand my needs and get me the kind of property? Because I've heard some people say, oh, I bought the property, I did not even see it, you know, and but the very first day I went and I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, is this what the realtor got me? You know, yes, he showed me the pictures, but you know, pictures are not the same thing when you see the property face
Yes.
to face, you know.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, you want to be sure the realtor knows the neighborhood. You want to be sure that the realtor is experienced. You want to be sure that the realtor can fight for you. And what do I mean? The person has negotiating skills. When they list the property for 800,000 I am not just looking as a realtor. I'm not just looking for my own best interest and say, oh, 800,000. You told me you have the down payment. I will just, at least let's negotiate. Let's not just,
Take
you
what these
see,
people are giving us as face value.
exactly, then, for example, is the person putting the right clause in the purchase sale agreement that can protect me?
Mm.
You know, if, for example, I want to back out from this deal due to financing, are you going to give me a tough time as a realtor just because you're looking as you've calculated the commission that you're going to make on this deal? Or are you actually looking out for my own best interest to say, hey, because me that I'm going to search in the market, I don't know. I don't really know how
I don't know what is going on. I don't know what the value of houses are there. You
I
are
might
the
just go there
you're
and
the
say,
one that
"Oh,
should
this is
tell
a
me.
beautiful house. It has swimming pool, this and that." But it might not be a modern home. It might have lots of I might have to
Innovation.
spend a lot of money in renovation, you know. So are you watching out for me, or is just, oh, I ask your opinion. What do you think about it? Oh, it's great, it's great, it's very good. It's very good. Are you watching out for me? Or maybe you listed this property and you're actually finding it difficult to sell it now that you saw that I just came and I'm looking you want to try and
Push
push
on me.
the property on me, because you want to make your money and move on. And now maybe I did not know I signed the purchase agreement, and now after talking to my mortgage person, they're telling me, oh, I don't think this property is what you should be going for. Like, a lot of lenders are not even don't have interest in this property because of the condition of the property. And now you go tell your realtor, and your realtor that should be fighting for you is
Be
now the one giving
fighting
you
against
tough time on how you cannot back out from the deal, even though there's conditional financing on this property. I'm actually giving you a true life
life
story, true
situation.
scenario.
Wow.
So I'm not just picking a
Making it
story
up.
from my head,
Wow.
a true
That's good.
scenario. So the realtor should be fighting for you, not joining the seller to say, hey, you cannot back up from the property. But there's conditional financing for X number of these, and you have not even exceeded those number of these. So it should be a clean exit. Now you don't want to give me back my deposit.
Mm.
So, because remember, when you sign that purchase of agreement,
Exchanging money.
24 hours later, within 24 hours, you're expected to drop a deposit. And that deposit amount is what you guys would have negotiated during the negotiating process. So now I put 10,000 down. I've given you 10,000. I'm waiting for the financing to be
Okay.
come true. And then now, maybe I spoke to my mortgage person and they're telling me, oh, lenders don't like the property. I want to back out. And you're telling me I can get my money back. Why? And this is coming from the realtor. Shouldn't the realtor be fighting for me
For
and be
you,
saying, no, there's conditional financing? So those are things you should watch out for.
this is great because I like that we had just mentioned that even if you are referred to by someone, let's say someone referred, a friend of yours or a family member referred you to a mortgage agent or a real estate broker, doesn't mean you should just run with it. You still have to do your own personal research and extra findings by asking some of these questions that you have just mentioned to help you ensure that this is the right person for you. They might be the right realtor or the right broker for your friend, for your family, for your loved ones, but they are not the right one for you. Maybe you guys have a communication mismatch. Maybe the city that you are looking to make your purchase is different from the one that your friend or your family member did. Or maybe you are in a different financial situation than the other person. You
That's
want to
true.
make sure that it works for you.
You,
Again, this is your own commitment, your own marriage. You have to treat it like yours. I know I'm saying marriage, but honestly, it's like marriage. If you're able to
it's
commit,
marriage.
if you are married, so like marriage is a lifelong commitment, but a mortgage is 25 years, which is as long as so many marriages. So
Mhm.
that's also a right measure if I were to use like a general yardstick that a lot of people can relate to. But honestly, this has been very, very amazing. You've covered a lot of things that I didn't even expect. If you are viewing right now, you have questions, please leave your questions below. I've put that in chat since, but I didn't see any questions come through yet. So maybe people are very clear on some of these things already.
Mhm.
But before I let you go, I want you to tell me more about like some of the benefits that the government has when it comes to buying a home. Because I know the Canadian government encourage people to buy a property and all that, and they have like different investment vehicles as well that would help people reach their home purchase goal or their dream. So can you share a bit more about that?
Yeah. So you have the home buyers plan, and with the home buyers plan, it's tied to your RSP account, right? So say you put in an X dollar amount into your RSP account. Your RSP account is way different from like a savings account or your
Hmm.
checking account, because you can just keep withdrawing from your checking account, but your RSP is more like an investment vehicle,
Yeah.
right? So you can put money into the RSP. Now, if you withdraw money into your RSP for any other purpose, you'll be hit with a tax, right?
Mm.
But if you're a first-time home buyer and you want to tap into your RSP, you can do that, right? And you won't be hit with any tax. So you tap into that funds and you use it towards your down payments, and they give you some time where you can repay that money back. So that's good. So say, for example, you've
So
been
what's
able,
the maximum amount of money that you can withdraw from your
I think the
RSP?
last time was 35,000.
35. Yeah, I think it's
The
35K.
the
That's
last
fine.
time was 35, if I'm not mistaken. So that home buyers plan is tied to your RSP account. We also have the FHSA, which is something that came out recently. It works similar to the home buyers plan RSP, in the sense that okay, so one thing I didn't mention in the RSP, when you contribute money to your RSP, the next year when you're saving, when you're filing tax, you get tax benefit. The same thing with an FHSA, you contribute into that account. When you file taxes, you get a benefit, right? Again, it's an investment vehicle, so that's in addition to your RSP. Now, when you're first time home buyer, you can get like tax rebate.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, so
So is
that's
it like the tax rebate on your RSP or your FHSA or a
no,
different?
this is something different.
Okay.
You get like a tax rebate. It's about 4,000. They don't give you the cash, right?
Mm.
So when they are
Thank you
doing
for
their plus and minus in your statements, they will deduct it from the total amount that is due before the house closes, before the
that.
property closes. So you get the tax rebate as a first time home buyer. There are other benefits too, depending on the kind of province that you live in. There are also benefits and programs that are available to first-time home buyers, but they are province specific.
Okay. Thank you so much. So you mentioned RRSP, which is the Registered Retirement Savings Plan, and if you withdraw, it's like a tax deferred account.
Yeah.
Then you also mentioned FHSA, which is the First Home Savings Account as well. Then you mentioned the tax rebate. Are there like any other provincial benefits, or it's just from the federal on a federal
No,
level?
there are other provincial benefits,
Or it
but
varies based on each one? Okay.
yes,
All
yes.
right. Thank you so much. That's very clear. Then I had another question, but I literally just forgot it. Um okay, yes, about closing costs. So when it comes to closing costs, this is my last and final question. How much do you think we should prepare or a home buyer should prepare when it comes to closing costs? Because I know this is different from the down payment, and a lot of times people get on with trying to buy a home, use all the money that they have for down payments, only to get to the point where they need to close and they don't have any more money left.
So I would say anything between 0.5 to 1% of the purchase price, right? So say I want to buy a property, 50, I said 50,000. I wish. Say I want to buy a property that is 500,000. So I will calculate about 1% of that, right? I'm factoring. So this is what will cover my lawyer's cost. This is what will cover any form of last minute expenses, right? Now, for example, you know how I said everybody's profile is different, right? So there are times, while I don't want to speak ill of private mortgages, there are times where there's no other option. It's private mortgage that we have to go for, right? You have to factor in that when we get to that, private mortgage is different from if you're getting a mortgage from a bank or any alternative lender, right? They will definitely do appraisal on the house. right? To see, okay, before I loan you this money, I don't
What's
just want to go by the purchase price that I'm
right?
seeing on this listing. They do an appraisal, they look at the condition of the house, and then if they have good appetite for it, then they will jump on board. There's lawyers' fees too, so at times you would have to pay your own fees and the lender's fees too. The
Mm.
lender's lawyer fees, so that's where closing those kind of things you would have to factor in, okay, I'm not just paying my lawyer fees, I'm paying the lender's lawyer fees. So I have to factor in those kind of costs as well.
Okay. Thank you. So I know I said it was my last question, but I'm asking for myself this time, not for the viewers. Who pays the mortgage broker and who pays the real estate agent? Because you said that you are not getting paid by me. So who pays you? Because you are not doing this job for free.
So the lender pays us, right? So the lender will pay my brokerage, and then my brokerage will pay me um my money. The same thing with the realtor. You don't pay the realtor any amount. The brokerage, the he so say you're buying a property, the seller is the person that will pay the realtor, but they
Yeah.
don't pay the realtor directly. They'll pay the realtor's brokerage, and then the brokerage will pay the realtor their share of money.
So this is why you also need to research the brokerage
Yes,
as well as the real estate company. Is it
yes.
called real estate company?
Yeah, the real estate company, or you can call it brokerage, but that is basically their company.
Okay, okay. Just to make sure that these people are also going to, okay, that makes a lot of sense. We have a question in chat now. What is your outlook or forecast of the Ontario or GTA markets within the next year? This question is very interesting. I like it, but I also know that a lot of things are not within your control. But just give us
Yes.
estimate or a forecast as to what you expect for the next 1 year.
Okay, mortgage wise, this person that wrote this question just put me on the hot seat. But anyways, I'll try and answer it as best as I can. So mortgage wise, right now we're seeing like a decrease in interest rate. So which is good because there are a lot of deals, right? Like if you can settle, there are a lot of deals going on. We expect to see by spring, um, prices go up in properties. And so even if you find a good or decent mortgage rate at that time, it's not something that if somebody was holding and saying, oh, let me just wait to spring and see what would happen, you might not find those great deals right now. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for explaining. I don't have any more questions, and I don't see any more question in chat. So thank you so much for committing your
Thank you
Saturday
so
morning,
much.
Saturday, and you have to spend time with your family. You have to do all the fun things. The person that asked that question is actually laughing in chat. You're very funny. But yeah,
Is she
that's about.
laughing at me?
No, the
Or
person is laughing like because he said he put you on the hot seat, right?
Oh, okay,
That's
okay,
it. That
okay.
was funny. It was funny to me too.
Okay,
But
okay.
yeah, thank you so much for spending your Saturday with me, for committing an hour to, educate the
Thank you so
community
much.
on making better and smarter financial decisions and avoiding those rookie mistakes that first-time home buyers would make. So thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate it. And friends, we're going to be ending this live stream now. Thank you so much for watching. You can still watch the replay. If you have questions anytime, leave them below. I also have the link to Lila's website, a contact as well. You can reach out directly to her if you have any questions. If you have any questions as well, you can comment in this video and she will be there to respond, but you can also contact her directly. She's a mortgage broker. Do you want to tell us what you do?
Oh, yeah, sure. So I'm a mortgage agent with Pineapple Financial. So Pineapple Financial is the name of my brokerage. So you can look it up after this YouTube session. So I help first-time home buyers and investors who want to either purchase their first home or they want to buy investment properties. And when I'm helping my clients, I'm not just looking at any type of mortgage. I'm actually utilizing smart mortgage strategies, to structure their mortgage deals so that it can protect them for both short-term and their long-term goals. I'm also the co-founder of Get Home Mortgage, which is a platform, that brings all professionals together that's involved in the real estate transaction.
Okay. That sounds fantastic. Your contact details is in the description. And I
Yes.
know I also added the name of your brokerage as well, Pineapple Financials, and your company name. Everything all together is in the description. So if any one of you want to reach out to her, our details are right there. You can always let her know you came from Bisola and she's going to give you the best deal. Make
Yeah,
sure you give my followers the best deal, okay? This
for
is a partner.
sure, for sure. Thank
All
you so
right.
much, Busola.
Thank you
Have a
so
great
much
day.
for watching, friends. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, the live stream is ended. I wanted to